Star Trek is finally delving into one of Picard's top twists, and honestly, I am sold already. Star Trek is finally delving into one of Picard's top twists, and honestly, I'm sold already. Star Trek. Picard followed Jean-Luc's exploits in the twilight of his life. The show, while generally enjoyed by fans, also had some baffling plot points, such as Jean-Luc and Dr. Crusher conceiving a son that she then hid from him. Fans felt this was out of character, but Star Trek #27 sheds light on why. Star Trek #27 is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly and drawn by Mike Feehan and Tess Fowler. Dr. Crusher and Captain Sisko are cleaning up after a dinner party the captain threw to boost crew morale aboard the Theseus, which is patrolling what is left of the universe in the aftermath of Lor's attack. Crusher makes a shocking confession to Sisko that in the wake of her husband Jack's death on board the Stargazer, she stopped trusting Starfleet. Instead, Dr. Crusher puts her faith and trust in those around her. Dr. Crusher's arc through the Star Trek universe has seen its share of ups and downs. Her late husband Jack was killed during a mission, leaving her a widow with a young child. Years later, Crusher would serve on board the Enterprise with Jean-Luc Picard, who was best friends with both her and Jack. During Star Trek, the Next Generation's 7-season run, it was clear there was romantic and sexual tension between Dr. Crusher and Picard, but neither had the desire to act on their feelings, as it might complicate their friendship. Within online Star Trek fan groups and publications, fans debated the merits of Dr. Crusher's decision to keep Jack away from Picard and Starfleet. But as revealed in Star Trek, Picard's third season, they eventually did just that, and the result was a son, Jack, named in honor of her late husband. Picard and Crusher had not seen each other since that night, and she kept Jack's existence a secret from his father. When Picard met Jack and realized who he was, it came as a shock, and he felt betrayed that Dr. Crusher would keep such knowledge to herself. Within online Star Trek fan groups and publications, fans debated the merits of Dr. Crusher's decision to keep Jack away from Picard and Starfleet. Fans felt that Dr. Crusher, by keeping Jack isolated from his father, was being hypocritical. Part of her rationale for doing so was to preserve his safety and well-being. After decades in Starfleet, Dr. Crusher knew the risks that come with it firsthand and wanted none of that for her son. Yet, as some have pointed out, she continually dragged Jack into some of the roughest spots in the galaxy. Picard reveals that Crusher had left Starfleet and was now running humanitarian aid to war-torn and desolate parts of the galaxy, hardly places for a child. Dr. Crusher's conversation with Captain Sisko in Star Trek #27, while shocking, provides further context for her decisions regarding Jack. During her time in Starfleet, Dr. Crusher lost two of the most important people in her life, her husband and son. Although Wesley is still alive, his duties as a traveler prohibit him from contact with family and friends from his past. Wesley's decision to join the Travelers stemmed directly from his time in Starfleet. This, coupled with losing her husband in the line of duty, has secretly soured Dr. Crusher on the organization. Dr. Crusher's conversation with Captain Sisko in Star Trek #27, while shocking, provides further context for her decisions regarding Jack. During her time in Starfleet, Dr. Crusher lost two of the most important people in her life, her husband and son. Although Wesley is still alive, his duties as a traveler prohibit him from contact with family and friends from his past. Wesley's decision to join the Travelers stemmed directly from his time in Starfleet. This, coupled with losing her husband in the line of duty, has secretly soured Dr. Crusher on the organization. The world of Star Trek is no stranger to shocking twists, intricate storytelling, and deep explorations of moral and philosophical dilemmas. But few moments in the franchise's long history have been as thought-provoking as the revelation in Star Trek Picard Season 1 that Jean-Luc Picard, the legendary Starfleet captain, is no longer fully human. Instead, he has become something else entirely, a synthetic being with a digital consciousness transferred into an artificial body. And now, Star Trek is finally delving into the ramifications of this twist in a way that feels long overdue. To those who followed Picard's first season, the transition of Jean-Luc Picard into an android, or golem, as it was referred to, was a momentous occasion. It was a narrative risk, and many fans were left divided. Some saw it as a clever way to extend the life of one of Star Trek's most beloved characters without undermining his mortality, while others felt it cheapened the emotional weight of his passing. But what was most surprising in Season 2 and much of Season 3 was the seeming lack of attention given to this profound transformation. Picard continued to function much the same way he always had, his synthetic nature barely impacting his life in any meaningful way. Now, however, it seems that Star Trek is finally ready to engage with this twist in a way that feels both narratively rich and deeply compelling. With Star Trek, Picard wrapped up and new avenues for storytelling opening up, there is a renewed focus on what it means for Picard and indeed for humanity at large that he exists in this new form. The question of identity has always been central to Star Trek, from Data's pursuit of humanity to the struggles of holograms and augmented beings throughout the franchise. Picard's new existence presents an opportunity to further explore these questions in ways the series has yet to fully embrace. One of the most exciting aspects of this development is how it can reframe the legacy of Jean-Luc Picard. He has always been an advocate for artificial life forms, most notably in The Measure of a Man, the Next Generation episode that put Data's personhood on trial. Picard fought to ensure that synthetic life forms had the same rights as biological beings, and now, in a poetic turn of fate, he finds himself in the very position of those he once defended. Does this make him less human? Or does his consciousness, experiences, and moral compass still define him as the same Jean-Luc Picard we've always known? These are the kinds of questions that Star Trek thrives on, and the fact that the franchise is finally addressing them makes for an exciting narrative prospect. Furthermore, this exploration offers new possibilities for Star Trek's broader canon. How do Starfleet and the Federation feel about one of their most celebrated officers essentially transcending mortality? Are there ethical concerns regarding Picard's continued leadership in a synthetic body? Could this pave the way for greater acceptance of artificial intelligence, or will it further entrench fears about what it means to be human? These threads have the potential to weave into some of the most fascinating philosophical debates Star Trek has engaged with in years. One particular angle that could be explored is Picard's own perception of his existence. Throughout his journey, he has been defined by his mortality, the weight of decisions, the sting of regret, and the knowledge that time is finite. Now, his body does not age in the traditional sense, and he is free of many of the frailties that once defined his later years. But does this newfound longevity come at a cost? Star Trek has often examined the burden of immortality, from Q's playful yet poignant meditations on the subject to the tragic loneliness of characters like Flint from the original series. If Picard is truly freed from the constraints of time, how does that change him? With the upcoming Star Trek projects, including the potential for more legacy-focused storytelling, this is the perfect time to fully explore the consequences of Picard's transformation. The franchise has always been at its best when it tackles big ideas with emotional depth, and the idea of a synthetic Picard presents an incredible opportunity to do just that. For longtime fans, the idea that Star Trek is finally embracing this aspect of Picard's journey is an exciting prospect. Rather than letting his transformation fade into the background, this new direction suggests a willingness to explore the nuances of identity, evolution, and what it truly means to be human. And honestly, I am sold already. Star Trek has always been about pushing boundaries, both scientific and philosophical, and this storyline feels like the perfect way to honor the legacy of